Next one, we have our year in review from Jane Friedman.
So Jane Friedman has a just incredible email newsletter called The Bottom Line. It's one of the few paid industry news sources that I have got that I pay for, and I have since back when it was called the Hot Sheet. So I'm not entirely sure why she changed the name. I feel like Bottom Line has worse SEO, or it's harder for people to find it. So just search for Jane Friedman if you want to follow her news. If you're a fan of author news, which I know that many of you are, Jane Friedman has really good analysis. And she did, so everything we're about to share is from Jane Friedman, which is why I'm pinpointing this. So we're going to riff on her year in review, because I thought she did a pretty good job capturing the big news stories of 2025. And so if you haven't been following publishing news very much in 2025, we're about to give you the year in review, starting with the $1.5 billion Anthropic settlement.
So if you've been following our episodes for the past 2 months, we've been talking about this giant Anthropic settlement. It has tons of authors excited. You know, we're punishing AI. We're finally getting them. And it is not my opinion that that is what is going to happen. Authors are excited about the potential payouts for the copyright violations if their titles were pirated. And of course, on our channel, we gave the ways that you can check and see if your title is on the list and if you are eligible to receive the payout. Looks like it's about $3,000 per title that can be expected. That's fantastic advertising money. Honestly, if my book was in there, I would get $3,000 and I'd throw it all into promotion. I mean, that's just that's just investment, right?
$3,000 courses for traditionally published authors going indie or something.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's the big story, and I suspect the poor Copyright Office is getting swamped with authors who are now suddenly registering their copyrights because
there sucks because in the government shutdown, that was not a good time.
Although it still count when you file it. The filing date is what matters. And there was some bad advice that even I got pulled into a little bit, which was you don't need to register your copyright to own your copyright, which is correct in all of the most useless ways. So while it is true that you own a copyright on something, whether you file the copyright or not, it is also true that that copyright is not financially meaningful in any meaningful way that will matter in, say, a class action lawsuit,
right?
Unless it's a registered copyright. So you have to go to copyright.gov. Don't go to any .coms or .orgs or .nets or totally not a scam.
No, my book is copyrighted in Nigeria, though.
Go to copyright.gov. If you need help with the process, get an AI to help you with the process. Any of the AIs can help. I've got an AI called Not a Lawyer that's a part of the Patron Toolbox that can help you with this process of registering your copyright. It's too late for this class action lawsuit, but there's a bunch of other similar class action lawsuits working their way through the court system. Yeah, there's one targeting Meta that actually just this week amended or put in a request to amend their case to make it more similar to the Anthropic case. Now that they realize that there's this is a way to get money, and Meta has a lot of money. Speaking of companies with a lot of money, Jane Friedman points out that the biggest unresolved issue of the year is TikTok ownership.
So President Trump issued an executive order giving the company that owns TikTok, ByteDance, a 75-day extension to sell TikTok before it would be banned in the United States. When that time period passed, he extended it again, and then again. And now it's 2026, and we still don't have a resolution. The fate of TikTok is still undetermined. There is a US-based joint venture trying to do a deal to purchase TikTok. It hasn't gone through yet. The most recent extension goes through the 23rd of January in 2026. So we still don't know how this is going to swing. And if authors built their platform on advertising through TikTok and it suddenly goes away, then you really got to spread your bread out. Like
the thing is that this TikTok saga has been pulled into the tariff saga and all of the multilateral, or it's a bilateral but multi-topic negotiations with China.
It's a negotiating lever now.
Yeah.
So it's probably going to stay in play that way.
It's kind of a perfect lever, because if Trump does nothing, TikTok goes away. It's the only thing keeping TikTok operational is President Trump continuing to take additional action to extend it. Because, and I want to make this really clear every time we talk about TikTok, Congress, which passes almost no bills. I think they just passed their 6th or 7th bill for the year. So the whole year they have passed less than a dozen bills. So like Congress, the legislative branch almost doesn't function. But they somehow passed a law banning TikTok, and the president signed a law banning TikTok, which means TikTok is like super banned.
It just needs enforcement.
Is delaying the enforcement of an actual law that got passed. So we won't belabor this anymore, because I suspect most of you aren't on TikTok. I don't think we have a lot of Gen Z. We probably have 6 or 7 Gen Z listeners.
So the biggest failure of the year is actually tied to TikTok. They started their own publishing company to try to capitalize on the trend of book talk. And they're like, oh, we'll just make the books that will then go viral on Book Talk and we'll print money. Well, that hasn't worked.
We apparently have no Gen Z listeners. I was expecting a freak out in the chat over that oblique reference.
This publishing company didn't even last 2 years. The authors that were a part of Eighth Note Press have been stuck in the lurch. And if a publishing company closes down when they have your book publishing rights, it can be a fight to legally get those publishing rights back if there's nobody at the company to man the desk to give you your rights back. So it can be a massive, massive pain.
We covered a bunch of publishers closing. This is the one that Jane Friedman chose to focus on. But there was a lot. This was a tough year for traditional publishing. I realized that we had good news this month, but every month leading up to this has been just blood in the water in terms of red ink. And I don't know if the core systemic issues in traditional publishing have been solved. In fact, I don't think they have. The fact that Barnes & Noble on the retail side is getting their act in order and opening up stores is going to help out traditional publishing. But traditional publishing is going to need to learn how to make books for the whole market and not just making books for the same kind of person over and over and over again. So they have a real diversity problem in traditional publishing that I don't think they have a good solution for. And it's, I think, one of the things that's leading to all of this blood in the water in terms of losses. And publishers closing down.
But if we're dealing with a strategy that is also more localized, reaching a localized region with different titles, I don't know if traditional publishing has the flexibility to move to that kind of model. I don't know. I also question if management of Barnes & Noble, so the store managers themselves, will have the flexibility, because that's not a corporate culture thing. You just, if you want to get promoted, you do what corporate tells you, and it's the best obeyers that get promoted or kept in their jobs or whatever. And to totally upend the culture like that for Barnes & Noble to value competence over compliance, if they hire the right people, then it'll work. But you're looking at lower floor space, which means fewer titles that you can shelve. You really got to make the right choices then, because
and really what's making these numbers go up is romantasy. Like if we're very honest,
I think is a bubble.
It might be, but when the bubble is growing, the bubble's growing really fast, right? Like once a bubble pops, it might pop all the way. Another thing Jane Friedman pointed out was that this was the year criticism became a cultural loss, but not a commercial one. She talked about the Associated Press announcing it would no longer do book reviews. I think that this isn't really a 2025 story. It's really a kind of a recent era story that critics, particularly kind of main legacy media critics, don't matter, and they haven't mattered for a really, really long time. One TikTok influencer is far more, the top TikTok influencers are more influential in terms of actually selling books than even the top folks at the New York Times. Like the top slots are all social media people now. And that's been the case for a really long time. the AP admitting that it's not even worth hiring a person to do this is, kind of was the inevitable outcome. But the reality is, everybody's a critic. We all can leave reviews. And the synthesis of reviews on Amazon that Rufus now does, where Rufus will summarize
Yep.
the reviews, that's more valuable for more readers than what an AP journalist has to say about the book.
The most advanced or the most dramatic advancement has been AI narrated audiobooks. Most retailers do now sell AI narrated or synthetic voice audiobooks. A lot of self-published authors have chosen this as a economical method of moving a lot of copies. You don't have to pay for a narrator. You get a lot more fine-tuning control depending on the model you're using. If you're using 11 Labs, for instance.
And the big breakthrough has been the quality.
Yeah.
The improvement in quality has been just mind-blowing just over the last 12 months. The ability for it to do emotions now and to act and perform the text. There's been a lot of attention on AI text and AI images and AI video, but AI voices have actually had a leaps forward. In fact, I was just seeing that there's a new open source model that was recently released that was comparable to 11 Labs. I haven't tested it out yet, and I don't remember the name. I'm sorry, but that's where it's all going, right? Everybody's got better voice models, and the quality of AI narration is just improving quite a bit. And I don't know if it's going to actually put any pressure on human narrators. I haven't seen that yet.
I see benefit to human narrators from this because people are going to get an ear for AI narration. It's already all over YouTube. A lot of videos now have these AI commentators that will break up the video and everyone hates it. People will get an ear for it, which means that human narrators will then be able to charge premium prices. So when you were competing with other narrators before for the budget price, now you're not competing for the budget price. AI has that locked. They will always be able to do it cheaper than you, which means now you pivot to the quality premium production to where you're able to emote so much more than the AI. I mean, and it's you really target your niche. Like, and when I narrated Semper Die, I was really good at narrating Semper Die because I'm a Marine and I know how to talk like a Marine. I know how to shout and do all that stuff like a Marine. So people are really enjoying it. It's like, this sounds like a Marine. That's because it is one. The AI is just not going to be able to do that. You can't create an AI Marine because it would break so many rules, so many content advisory rules on the AI model. It would be like, I'm not allowed to talk like this. My mom doesn't let me.
So I think the AI tool was Chatterbox Turbo from Resemble AI. It had a release, just a few days ago, according to Grok. And it can create a voice clone off of a voice with just 5 to 10 seconds of audio with no verification required. So hackers are going to love this tool. And you're going to have to not trust phone calls. You need to trust phone calls even less than you do already. All right, we need to hurry on because we're running out of time. But the final things you pointed out, NaNoWriMo, we've covered this. NaNoWriMo kind of went away, but it's still around. It just has a new name. And I should point out, we actually have taken NaNoWriMo, National Novel Writing Month, which is normally in November, and we now have a space in the authormedia.social called Novel Month. And so I rename it every month. So right now it's Novel December, and I'm going to call it Novel January. So if you're going through Jonathan's Suffer with the Marine boot camp, you can post your progress there publicly. And it's if you're a part of the authormedia.social, which it's free for patrons, it's free for students going through the course, it's free for people coming to the conference. And if you're none of those things and you still want to join, it's a one-time cost of $8 or $9 just to keep the bots out. And then you're welcome to use that and to participate in that community. So while the NaNoWriMo organization is gone, the dream of writing a novel in a month still lives.